Hello and welcome to this continuing first look exploring session looking at A Trick to Catch the Old One by Thomas Middleton. We are about a third of the way into the play now, play for a boys' company. And reasonably now into a run of plays that he's been writing. He's no longer he's still a fresh-faced youth to a degree, but he's got a number of works under his belt by this point, sometime around 1605. Yes, we are discovering some things we're liking, but an awful lot of confusion and bamboozlement occurred last time. So I'm hoping that now that the plot is hopefully ticking over, that things will start firing in a more active way. We shall see, and find out how everything's going to go. Reading today, Witgood, the young scallywag at the centre of this narrative, is...
My name is Lynn. I'm coming to you from the northwestern United States. This is my faithful companion, Scooter.
Reading Lamprey, Vintner, and Dampit is...
Helen, not a firm of solicitors at all. Inside.
Reading first Creditor and the Uncle Lucre is...
Hiya, it's Simon Nader here from Dublin in Ireland. Without that accent, obviously.
Yes, don't do that. Reading second Creditor George, Boy, and Sam is...
Hi, it's Greg. I'm based near Reading in Berkshire, and I think Middleton is a much better name for this writer.
Reading Moneylove Drawer First Gentleman is...
Connor from London.
Reading Hoard is...
Steve Longstaffe, retired academic and active idiot in the northwest of England.
Reading Host William and Second Gentleman is...
Hi, I'm Stephen MacNeice. I'm an actor based in London.
And reading Third Creditor Audrey, Niece and Courtesan is...
Sarah Blake, actor, writer and director based in Germany.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions and I think Spitchcock as well, because I don't think I can find a way of giving it to anyone else. And that sounds like something you talk to your doctor about. But anyway, I'll move on. Going into Act 2, Scene 2, we open with Hoard and Moneylove.
Faith, Master Hoard, I have bestowed many months in the suit of your niece. Such was the dear love I ever bore to her virtues. But since she hath so extremely denied me, I am to lay out my fortunes elsewhere.
Now, heaven forbid, but you should, sir. I ever told you my niece stood otherwise affected?
I must confess you did, sir. Yet, in regard of my great loss of time, and the zeal with which I sought your niece, shall I desire one favour of your worship.
In regard of these two, 'tis hard, but you shall, sir.
I shall rest graceful. 'Tis not full 3 hours, sir, since the happy rumour of a rich country widow came to my hearing.
How? A rich country widow?
400 a year landed.
Yes.
Most firm, sir. I have learned her lodging. Here my suit begins, sir. If I might but entreat your worship to be a countenance for me, and speak a good word, for your words will pass, I nothing doubt but I might set fair for the window, nor shall your labour, sir, end altogether in thanks. 200 angels.
What suitors has she?
And there lies the comfort, sir. Report of her is yet but a whisper, and only solicited by young riotous Witgood, nephew to your mortal adversary.
Art certain he's her suitor?
Most certain, sir, and his uncle very industrious to beguile the widow and make up the match.
Oh, very good.
Now, sir, you know this young Witgood, like a spendthrift, dissolute fellow.
A very rascal.
A midnight surfeiter.
The spume of the brothel house.
True, sir, which being well told in your worship's phrase, might both leave him out of her mind and drive a fair way for me to the widow's affections.
Attend me about 5.
With my best care, sir.
And exit Moneylove.
Fool, thou hast left thy treasure with a thief, to trust a widower with a suit in love. Happy revenge, I hug thee. I have not only the means laid before me extremely to cross my adversary and confound the last hopes of his nephew, but thereby to enrich my state, augment my revenues, and build mine own fortunes greater. I'll mar your phrase, or turn your flatteries, undo your windings, policies, and plots, fall like a secret and dispatchful plague on your secured comforts. I am able to buy 3 of Lucre, thrice out with him. Let my out monies be reckoned, and all.
Enter 3 creditors.
I am glad of this news.
Where are we, by my pay?
Young Witgood will be a gallant again now.
Peace.
I promise you, Master Cockpit, she's a mighty rich widow.
Why, have you ever heard of her?
Who? Widow Meddler. She lies open to much rumour.
400 a year, they say, in very good land.
Nay, take it off my word. If you believe that, you believe the least.
And to see how close he keeps it.
Oh, sir, there's policy in that to prevent better suitors.
He owes me £100, and I protest, I never looked for a penny.
He little dreams of our coming. He'll wonder to see his creditors upon him.
And exeunt the creditors.
Creditors follow. This makes for me. All know the widow's wealth, and 'tis well known I can estate her fairly, aye, and will. This one chance shines a twice happy fate. I both deject my foe and raise my state.
And exit and music cue to end the act. So there's a little bit of music while everyone trims the candles in the indoor playhouse. So yes, remember to sort of think of this scene following on from the previous rather long scene. It's sort of a little coda to what was happening in the previous scene when we first meet the courtesan in her widow's persona, and this is the rumour mill picking up on the appearance of the disguised courtesan, and yeah, I really like that scene. I don't know, the creditors coming on remind me of the scene in Muppets Christmas Carol when the pigs all come on and they're going, stuff, Scrooge, he's not very nice. Shall we go to lunch? Yes! That's just basically how I think that should be done. Especially, it's basically Hoard is just listening to them, overhearing them having this very helpful, basically reiteration of what Moneylove has passed on. Because of course, Hoard has a niece who's trying to get married off, and Moneylove is in theory interested, but of course he's now interested in the country widow, who of course isn't real. Lynn.
Yeah, that was kind of my question. That So Moneylove is the poor scholar who's we hear is interested in this niece who I don't think we've ever seen, and is rivals with the rich but foolish Sam. So generically speaking, Moneylove is like the one character we might expect to be kind of a decent person, and it turns out he's completely mercenary as well.
I think we should just go with what his name suggests, that he really loves money. So, he wants to marry into a wealthy family, even if he's got nothing. I think that's probably basically where we're going with that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that was delightfully clear what was going on in that.
Mm.
Everyone who was feeling like we were wading through treacle the other day. I don't know anyone who wasn't following on that, but I think also following on immediately after the previous scene, which we obviously did last session, that lands really clearly. It's a nice little closing beat to the plot that had been sort of established earlier. That's quite nice. But of course, anyone can disagree on this thought. Any other additional thoughts about this little scene? I quite liked it. I felt an upswing. Alan?
It's almost like somebody else has entered the room, or the script editor has actually turned around and said, Middleton, just try and do something straightforward for once, can you?
I suspect we've just tuned into it. I don't think there's actually probably anything different in it. I think we're just there. And also, the plot's now moving. We're not establishing who Hoard is. We know we've met Hoard, even if we haven't spent much time with him. Other thoughts, Sarah?
I'm feeling like we could maybe cut 14 of the 18 pages we read yesterday, and just establish who everybody is, and then just come to here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'll all turn out to be extremely necessary, but yeah.
Well, the beginning, I think Act 2, pretty much everything in Act 2 was necessary. I mean, the courtesan coming in and establishing who she is and her relationship with all the various people there.
Yeah, but all of that was like literally a page. It was like half a page at the top and then half a page in the middle of Act 2, and that was it. I mean,
I think you may be exaggerating, but in practice, I don't think it was that much.
Okay.
But Act 1 is a different kettle of fish. I think there is absolutely room for filleting of Act 1, because I think there's an awful lot of stuff there. But again, that's I think a question for a second look. But yeah, hold on to those thoughts. Other thoughts about this scene rather than yesterday. Okay, Act 3 then. Let's find out what this unit of action is going to be doing. Act 3, Scene 1. We have the entrance of Witgood and his 3 creditors. I'm assuming those are the 3 creditors we met earlier, but who knows? There are probably so many creditors about. Anyway, enter Witgood and people who want money.
Why, alas, my creditors, could you find no other time to undo me but now? Rather your malice appears than the justice of the debt.
Master Witgood, I have forbone my money long.
I pray you, speak low. What do you mean?
We hear you are to be married suddenly to a rich country widow.
What can be kept so close but you creditors hear on it? Well, 'tis a lamentable state that our chiefest afflictors should first hear of our fortunes. Why, this is no good court in faith, sirs. If you ever have hope to be satisfied, why do you seek to confound the means that should work it? There's neither piety nor policy in that. Shine favorably now, why I may rise and spread again to your great comforts.
He says true, i' faith.
Remove me now, and I consume forever.
Sweet gentleman.
How can it thrive which from the sun you sever?
Creditor number 3, please.
sorry, I was just putting in the chat that I thought I was saying. It cannot indeed.
Oh, then show patience. I shall have enough to satisfy you all.
Aye, if we could be content. A shame take us.
For look you, I am but newly sure yet to the widow, and what a rend might this discredit make? Within these 3 days, I will bind you lands for your securities.
No, good Master Witgood, would 'twere as much as we dare trust you with.
I know you have been kind. However, now, either by wrong report or false incitement, your gentleness is injured. In such a state as this man cannot want foes. If on this sudden he begin to rise, no man that lives can count his enemies. I had some intelligence, I warrant ye, of an ill-willer.
Faith, we heard you brought up a rich widow, sir, and were suddenly to marry her.
Aye, why there it is. Why there it was. I knew 'twas so. But since you are so well resolved of my faith towards you, let me be so forward of you, I beseech you all.
Oh, it shall not need
no.
your faith.
Oh, it shall not need a faith, sir.
As to lie still a while and bury my debts in silence till I be fully possessed of the widow. For the truth is, as I may tell you as my friend. Now, to raise a little money in the city towards the setting forth of myself for mine own credit and your comfort. Now, if my former debts should be divulged, all hope of my proceedings are quite extinguished.
Do you hear, sir? I may deserve your custom hereafter. Pray, let my money be accepted before a stranger's. Here's £40 I received as I came to you. If that may stand you in any stead, make use on't. Nay, pray, sir, 'tis at your service.
You do so ravish me with kindness that I am constrained to play the maid and take it.
None of them see it, I beseech you.
Stop.
I hope I shall be first in your remembrance after the marriage rites.
Believe it firmly.
So, what do you walk, sirs?
There you go. Take no care, sir, for money to furnish you. Within this hour, I'll send you sufficient. Come, Master Cockpit, we both stay for you.
I have lost a ring, Faith. I'll follow you presently.
And exeunt the first and second creditors.
But you shall find it, sir. I know your youth and expenses have disfurnished you of all jewels. There's a ruby of £20 price, sir. Bestow it upon your widow. What man? 'Twill call up her blood to you. Beside, if I might so much work with you, I would not have you beholding to those bloodsuckers for any money.
Not I, believe it.
They're a brace of cutthroats.
Yeah, I know them.
Send a note of all your wants to my shop, and I'll supply you instantly.
Say you so. Why, here's my hand. No man living shall do it but thyself.
Shall I carry it away from them both, then?
In faith shalt thou.
Troth, then I thank you, sir.
Welcome, a good Master Cockpit.
And exit third creditor.
He must have been Cockpit. Never mind. Why, is not this better now than lying abed? I perceive there's nothing conjures up wit sooner than poverty, and there's nothing lays it down sooner than wealth and lechery. This is some savour. Yet, oh, that I had the mortgage of mine uncle as sure as the possession of these trifles. I would forswear brothel at noonday, and muscadine and eggs at night.
And enter Courtesan.
Master Witgood, where are you?
Hola.
Rich news.
Would 'twere all in plate.
There's some in chains and jewels. I am so haunted with suitors, Master Witgood, I know not which to dispatch first.
You have the better term, by my faith.
Among the number, one Master Hoard, an ancient gentleman.
Upon my life, my uncle's adversary.
It may well hold so, for he rails on you, speaks shamefully of him.
As I could wish it.
I first denied him, so cunningly it rather promised him assured hopes than any loss of labour.
Excellent.
I expect him every hour, with gentlemen with whom he labours to make good his words, to approve your riotous, your state consumed, your uncle.
Wench, make up thy fortunes now. Do thyself a good turn once in thy days. He's rich in money, movables, and lands. Marry him. He's an old doting fool. That's worth all. Marry him. 'Twould be a great comfort to me to see thee do well. In faith, marry him. 'Twould ease my conscience well to see thee well bestowed. I have care of thee in faith.
Thanks, sweet Master Witgood.
I reach it farther happiness. Further, first, I am sure it can be no harm to thee, and there may happen goodness to me by it. Prosecute it well. Let's send up for our wits. Now we require their best and most pregnant assistance.
Step in. I think I hear him.
And we will pause before the next unit of action occurs. The suitors are on their way. We have action positively occurring. And we have that truism that if someone thinks that you have the prospect of having money, they will lend you money even though you have no money, because they know that money... Because money likes money. That's the thing. Money likes to be near more money. And so, yes. So the con is working. Witgood is recharging his coffers from people who he already owes money to. This is the thing; these are all people who he owes money to, and they're just lining up to give him more money because he's on the prospect of getting more money. This is welcome to capitalism. This is how these things work. This is why if you have lots and lots of hypothetical cash, you never naturally need to carry any cash because you can basically live on credit. And then of course the Courtesan comes in and has all this fun news that she's got lots of suitors, including Hoard himself, and that she is very, very well placed now. So both of these two people are quite, I think, pleased by where the con currently is going. They're in a good place. Thoughts on the room? Any thoughts to throw in here? It's bouncing along a lot nicer now the plot's going. Definitely feeling happier today. Definitely feeling happier.
Yeah,
Lynn.
the really interesting moment when Witgood advises his lover, his courtesan, to marry the old man. Marry the old man. You know, he's old, he'll die soon, he's rich. That will be sort of a permanent solution for you. And I do care about you. But it's not even on the table for like, once I get my uncle's money, we'll get married. I guess that sort of that line is consistent with the values of the time, but it's sort of a painful moment. I feel like I care about you.
Well, you've got to remember the way he's going to reimburse his finances is by marrying. He can't marry her because he has to marry somebody else. All of this is temporary until he can arrange the good match. I mean, I would not be surprised if they don't still see each other separately. But that's that kind of world. Sarah.
Yes, normally I am pretty much in lockstep with Lynn on my opinions, but on this occasion I actually found that quite endearing. I haven't found him endearing so far at all, but the fact that he was like, oh yeah, you marry this dude and then that'll sort you out because we've had good times and be nice to see you settled, love, kind of thing. I mean, okay, he's not a paragon of virtue, but then nobody is in this play, and it just struck me as being quite real, that little exchange. And he's not just using her. Well, I mean, yeah, he is, but he's like, but she knows she's being used and she's in on it. And it seemed a fairly honest conversation, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, considering their relationship prior has presumably been entirely transactional, so in that sense, this is about as honest as they've probably ever got. Okay, let's continue the scene because they have a whole host of people that they're hoping to get more entanglements out of. So enter with Witgood, so presumably he just popped out to open the door. Enter Hoard and gentlemen in Lamprey and Spitchcock, with the host as serving man.
Thou the widow's man? By my faith, she is a company of proper men, then.
I am the worst of 6, sir. Good enough for blue coats.
Hark, hither. I hear say thou art in most credit with her.
Not so, sir.
Come, thou art modest. There's a brace of royals. Prithee, help me to the speech of her.
I'll do what I may, sir. Always saving myself harmless.
Do it, I say. Thou shalt hear better from me.
Is not this a better place than 5 mark a year standing wages? Say a man had but 3 such clients in a day. Methinks he might make a poor living on't. Besides, I was never brought up with so little honesty to refuse any man's money. Never. What gulls there are this side of the world. Now know I the widow's mind. None but my young master comes in her clutches.
And exit host.
Now, my dear gentleman, stand firmly to me. You know his follies and my worth.
We do, sir.
But Master Hoard, are you sure he is not in the house now?
Upon my honesty, I chose this time a purpose fit. The spendthrift is abroad. Assist me. Here she comes.
Enter Courtesan, disguised as the rich widow.
Now, my sweet widow.
You're welcome, Master Hoard.
Dispatched, sweet gentleman, dispatched. I am come, widow, to prove those my words, neither of envy sprung, nor of false tongues, but such as their deserts and actions do merit and bring forth, all which these gentlemen, well known and better reputed, will confess.
I cannot tell how my affections may dispose of me, but surely, if they find him so desertless, they'll have that reason to withdraw themselves. And therefore, gentlemen, I do entreat you, as you are fair in reputation and in appearing form, so shine in truth. I am a widow, and, alas, you know, soon overthrown. 'Tis a very small thing that we withstand, our weakness is so great. Be partial unto neither, but deliver without affection your opinion.
We'll drive it home.
Nay, I beseech your silence, Master Hoard. You are a party.
Not a word.
The better first to work you to believe. No, neither of us owe him flattery, nor t'other malice, but unbribed censure. So help us to our best fortunes.
It suffices.
That Witgood is a riotous, undone man, imperfect both in fame and estate. His debts wealthier than he, and executions in wait for his due body. We'll maintain with our best credit and our dearest blood.
Nor land nor living, say you? Pray take heed you do not wrong the gentleman.
What we speak, our lives and means are ready to make good.
Alas, how soon are we poor souls beguiled.
And for his uncle.
Let that come to me. His uncle, a severe extortioner, a tyrant at a forfeiture, greedy of others' miseries, one that will undo his brother, nay, swallow up his father if he can, within the fathoms of his conscience.
Nay, believe it, widow, you had not only matched yourself to wants, but in an evil and unnatural stock.
Follow it, gentlemen, follow it.
Is my so deceived? Before you all, I do renounce him. On my knees I vow he ne'er shall marry me.
Witgood, hiding behind a door or somewhere, pops in unexpectedly, completely unexpectedly, to say this line any second now. Instantly upon the moment of being renounced.
Worst cue pickup ever. Heaven knows he never meant it.
There, take her, it's bound.
And with a new and pure affection, behold you, gentlemen. Behold yon gentleman, grave, kind, and rich, a match worthy yourself. Esteeming him, you do regard your state.
I'll make her a jointure. So,
He can join land to land and will possess you of what you can desire.
Come, widow, come.
The world is so deceitful.
There, 'tis deceitful where flattery, want, and imperfection lies, but none of these in him. Bosh!
Pray, sir,
Come, you widows are ever most backward when you should do yourselves most good. Were it to many marry a chin not worth a hair now, then you will be forward enough. Come, clap hands, a match.
He joins their hands, possibly.
With all my heart, widow. Thanks, gentlemen. I will deserve your labour and thy love.
alas, you love not widows, but for wealth. I promise you, I had nothing, sir.
Well said, widow. Well said. Thy love is all I seek before these gentlemen.
Now I must hope the best.
My joys are such they want to be expressed.
But, Master Hoard, one thing I must remember you of before these gentlemen, your friends. How shall I suddenly avoid the loathed soliciting of that perjured Witgood and his tedious, dissembling uncle, who this very day hath appointed a meeting for the same purpose too, where, had not truth come forth, I had been undone, utterly undone.
What think you of that, gentlemen?
'Twas well devised.
Hark thee, widow, train out young Witgood, single. Hasten him thither with thee somewhat before the hour, where at the place appointed these gentlemen and myself will wait the opportunity, when by some sleight removing him from thee, we'll suddenly enter and surprise thee, carry thee away by boat to Coal Harbour, have a priest ready, and there clap it up instantly. How likes it, widow?
In that it pleaseth you, it likes me very well.
Kiss thee for those words. Come, gentlemen, still must I live a suitor to your favours, still to your aid beholding.
We're engaged, sir. 'Tis for our credit to see it well ended.
'Tis for your honours, gentlemen. Nay, look to it. Not only enjoy, but I in wealth excel. No more, sweet widow, but sweet wife. Farewell.
Ooh, looks like the courtesan's frozen. She says farewell. Hopefully Courtesan comes back online. Does Courtesan? No, I don't think she says anything else on the scene. We're in luck. So, exit Hoard, Lamprey, Spitchcock, enter Witgood.
Oh, for more scope! I could laugh eternally. Give you joy, Mistress Hoard. I promise your fortune was good, forsooth. Y'all have fell upon wealth enough, and there's young gentlemen now to help you to the rest. Now, it requires our wits. Carry thyself but heedfully now, and we are both.
Enter host.
Master Witgood, your uncle.
Good's me. Remove thyself a while. I'll serve for him.
And exeunt Courtesan and host enter Lucre.
Nephew, good morrow, nephew.
The same to you, kind uncle.
How fares the widow? Does the meeting hold?
Oh, no question of that, sir.
I'll strike the stroke, then, for thee, no more days.
The sooner the better, uncle. Oh, she's mightily followed.
And yet so little rumoured.
Mightily. Here comes one old gentleman, and he'll make her a jointure of 300 a year, forsooth. Another wealthy suitor will estate his son in his lifetime, and make him weigh down the widow. Here a merchant's son will possess her with no less than 3 goodly lordships at once, which were all pawns to his father.
Peace, nephew, let me hear no more of them. mads me. Thou shalt prevent them all. No words to the widow of my coming hither. Let me see. 'Tis now upon 9. Before 12, nephew, we will have the bargain struck. We will, if faith boy.
Oh, my precious uncle.
And they exit. So once again, we have a scene with, or the continuation of that scene, with lots of games to be played. First, the damning of Witgood by Hoard and his cronies, and then, oh, but maybe you'd like to marry me. Look at this fine, upstanding gentleman, isn't he wonderful? And yes, the arrangement there. And what I really like, I did like that line when the courtesan just points out, look, no, seriously, I've got no money at all. I've got nothing. And they're sort of just saying, oh, you're just being bashful. Just being modest. Isn't that lovely? And yeah, there's a lot of fun that can be had out of that as well. And so there's a plan in place, and of course then Lucre coming in saying, no, let's get you married off as quickly as possible. Let's get some stuff going on there. So it's all nicely complicated. I like it being nicely complicated. Act 3 once again has just generally kicked up the ante. It's taken all the stuff that's been established in Acts 1 and 2 and is now playing with them. We were talking about, I think last time, having plates in the air. They're spinning nicely. They're you can hear them going round. It's a very satisfying sound. Other thoughts about these characters? Simon?
Not so much about the characters, but more about the writing. There's some zingy little lines in there. I love the thing about marry a chin that's not a hair's worth. I thought it was a very nice line. And then I love the courtesan, obviously, saying about how the world is so crooked despite being so crooked. I just think it's a sort of thing you can kind of visualize a reaction. It has a weird sort of, I don't know, like 1950s movie fast quality in a weird way.
Yeah, I think it is. It's starting to zing along quite nicely. Again, I think it's that we've just tuned into it. I think there's something about last session where we struggled really to get into what was going on here. But it could just be me. I don't know. Feel free to wave and disagree. If you're still being completely lost is a perfectly valid expression of thought. But I'm liking this. Not so many quotable lines as I was hoping for. I think that was the point last time. When people were talking about, the zingers that you get, say, similar kind of text that you get with Marston. You're sort of hoping for those one-liners that you really like. Not so many. There are a few, but not so many sort of popping out and grabbing you by the collar. Stephen?
I think I probably said it yesterday anyway, but we're watching people playing games with people who are themselves playing games. So it is kind of real. It's kind of meta, but playground meta, if such a thing exists. There's a sort of playground joy of watching this going on. Hoard is playing one game, somebody's playing another game. The suit, his sidekicks are playing another game. All of these games going on.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Very quiet today. Okay, we've got a short scene next, very short. And in fact, it's interesting. I was just looking at this. We just had that short scene with Lucre and Witgood. Not a lot of which is necessarily vital. I mean, yes, you kind of want Lucre to say, "Let's move on with the deal." But it's not desperately important. But then there's a structural reason. You need something in between exit of Hoard and this scene with Hoard coming straight back on again. So I'm sort of going on a structural level. Though I wasn't wholly satisfied what was going on with Lucre, I sort of see why it's there. It does have a vague need, but it's not wholly as important. But it's a space filler to a degree. Anyway, Act 3, Scene 2, short little scene. Enter Hoard and his niece.
Niece, sweet niece, prithee, have a care to my house. I'll leave all to thy discretion. Be content to dream a while. I'll have a husband for thee shortly. Put that care upon me, wench, for in choosing wives and husbands I am only fortunate. I have that gift given to me.
Exit Hoard.
But 'tis not likely you should choose for me, since nephew to your chiefest enemy is he whom I affect. But oh, forgetful! Why dost thou flatter thy affection so with name of him that for a widow's bed neglects thy purer love? Can it be so? Or does report dissemble?
Enter George. Say hello to him.
Oh, sorry.
How now, sir?
A letter with which came a private charge.
Therein I thank your care.
Exit George.
I know this heart. Dearer than sight, what the world reports of me, yet believe not. Rumour will alter shortly. Be thou constant. I am still the same that I was in love, and hope to be the same in fortunes. Theodorus Witgood. I am resolved. No more shall fear or doubt raise their pale powers to keep affection out.
And exit niece. Her name's Joyce, by the way. She does actually have a name. But yeah, we are introduced to it's Act 3, Scene 2, and we're finally meeting. Okay, I'm not going to be desperately kind. We finally met the plot device, which is the niece is the target that Witgood actually wants to marry, and we meet her in Act 3, Scene 2. I find that slightly annoying. I kind of would like to have met niece slightly earlier in the narrative, just to put a pin on the character to say I know who this person is. They've talked about her. They've talked about her as a match. But it was the kind of detail that we lost in the first session because we didn't have a visual signifier to land on. And I think that's one of those big problems sometimes that this player is doing in terms of setting up characters. This is a rather late entry, and I suspect possibly a tokenistic one. We shall see whether we get much out of niece. Lynn.
There's nothing wrong with my sound. There's something wrong with my brain. I guess because I was not aware until this moment that Hoard's niece was the true object of Witgood's affection. I knew she had those other two suitors, but I don't remember any mention of his interest in her. So this felt really like late onset plot to me. Not only have we not physically seen her before, but this is the first I remember hearing of his interest in her. So slightly annoying is putting it kindly.
Yes, I can't remember, but I'm fairly certain he pretty much mentions it somewhere in the opening scene. But again, it's that thing of taking it in. Did we take the data in? We didn't. I could be wrong. She may never have been mentioned at all, but I'm fairly certain she was. Sarah.
Yeah, she definitely was, but I don't remember him saying that he was in love with her, and I don't know that he is. I mean, this scene establishes that she loves him, but that's not necessarily reciprocated. I mean, he probably wants to marry her. Well, he definitely wants to marry her for her money, but like, yeah, I don't. We've had no evidence that he's keen on her at all, really, other than just as a way of paying off his debts.
Alan.
No, I mean, it was set up earlier because you got the lad with the money, and you got the poor scholar set up as being her two suitors, and Witgood is presumably the poor scholar in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense, it has been set up. It's the fact that we don't take it in because we haven't. She's not been engaged in any of those discussions as a character. She's just a name that or a figure that someone brings up. Stephen with an M.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it's interesting that people miss the niece because I think that it is that really that she's like the money is the important thing really. It seems that for everybody in the play, it seems. Even for the host who I just read, it's about what money he can make out of things. That seems to be the primary motivator of most of the characters at the moment. And the marriage is just a bonus in a way, maybe.
I'm increasingly feeling this is one of those shows where we need a dumb show at the beginning, just introducing who physically all these characters are. Especially with a character like this one. Everybody else has been introduced at some point by around midway through Act 2. And again, we're getting to the point where we're having to decide somewhere around here. We're going to put an interval if we're doing a modern production, a little later on to come. But it seems very late in the day to introduce a character who, again, she's effectively a plot device. She's there to do something within the plot. I don't know whether she's going to be an active character in a meaningful way, which is. But
she's quite the honeypot, So she's an important plot device. There's 3 different suitors. So yeah, it's structurally just really clunky. Sorry.
But at least we had the scene, and we have now met her, and we've probably got all the pieces in place now, on the board, in some fashion. Act 3, Scene 3. Let us move forward with a slightly longer scene, I think. Yes, slightly longer. So enter with a drawer Hoard and 2 gentlemen who are Lamprey and Spitchcock.
You're very welcome, gentlemen. Dick, show those gentlemen the pomegranate there. Up those stairs, gentlemen.
Dora.
Anon, sir.
Prithee, ask at the bar if a gentlewoman come not in lately.
William, at the bar, did you see any gentleman come in lately? Speak you aye, speak you no.
No, none came in yet, but Mistress Florence.
He says none came in yet, sir, but one Mistress Florence.
What is that, Florence? A widow?
Yes, a Dutch widow.
How?
That's an English drab, sir. Give your worship good morrow.
And exit drawer.
Very day, faith. I shall remember a Dutch widow the longest day of my life.
Did I not use most art to win the widow?
You shall pardon me for that, sir. Master Hoard knows I took her at best advantage.
What's that, sweet gentleman? What's that?
He will needs bear me down that his art only wrought with the widow most.
Oh, you both did well, gentlemen. You did both well. I thank you.
I was the first that moved her.
You were, i' faith.
But it was I that took her at the bound.
Why, that was you. Faith, gentlemen, 'tis right.
I boasted least, but 'twas I joined their hands.
By the mass, I think he did. You did all well, gentlemen. You did all well. Contend no more.
Come, yon room's finest.
True, 'tis next the door.
Exit Hoard with Lamprey and Spitchcock. Enter Witgood, Courtesan, Drawer, and Host.
You're very welcome. Please you to walk upstairs. Cloth's laid, sir.
Upstairs? Troth, I am weary, Master Witgood.
Rest yourself here a while, widow. We'll have a cup of muscadine in this little room.
A cup of muscadine. You shall have the best, sir.
But do you hear, Sarah?
Do you call anon, sir?
What is there provided for dinner?
Oh, I cannot readily tell you, sir. If you please, you may go into the kitchen and see yourself, sir. Many gentlemen of worship do use it, I assure you, sir.
And exit drawer.
Pretty familiar prigging rascal. He has his part without book.
Against you are ready to drink to me, widow. I'll present to pledge to you.
Nay, I commend your care. 'Tis done well of you. Lass.
Exit Witgood.
Lass, what have I forgot?
What, mistress?
I slipped my wedding ring off when I washed and left it in my lodging. Oh, prithee run. I shall be sad without it.
Exit Host.
So, he's gone. Boy!
Enter Boy.
Forsooth.
Come hither, sirrah. Learn secretly if one Master Hoard, an ancient gentleman, be about house.
Oh, I heard such a one named.
Commend me to him.
Enter Hoard with Lamprey and Spitchcock.
Thy commendations.
Oh, you come well. Away, to boat, be gone.
Why, wise men are revenged. Give 2 for 1.
And they exit. I'm going to pause there because this is starting to feel bedroom farcy. I'm quite liking this. I'm loving the drawer and have you had someone come in? Have we had someone come in, Jim? And all the and then he shouts it back, and I just utterly believe this. And I also just like, what food do you have? We just go in the kitchen and ask what we've got. It's just like they can't even be bothered to say. God. Yeah, this does not feel like the best in the universe. But yeah, I utterly believe in this inn. There is nothing here that I do not believe or understand. Yeah, so elopement managed by the looks of it. I could be wrong on that point, but it looks like they're pretty much done. Yeah, that was fun. I like that. I want more of that. I want that to go on for longer with more complications. I felt that went off too easily. Alan.
Yeah, one just wonders whether the boy is related to Manuel.
I suspect not. I suspect the boy is very efficient and knows exactly what he's up to. Okay, let's carry on with the scene then. So we have had the exit of Hoard and Courtesan, presumably with Lamprey and Spitchcock. Sorry, I should have paused there. I just love the way that Lamprey and Spitchcock are just constantly going, I got her more than you got her for him. That back and forth is delightful. More than we've had really. They haven't quite functioned as a double act, I felt. Earlier, it felt like he's now figured out how to make them function as a double act. It's possibly a bit late for that to work, but it's like there's a good idea there. He's just only figured out how to play it now. Anyway, they've exited. Enter Witgood and the Vintner.
I must request you, sir, to show extraordinary care. My uncle comes with gentlemen, his friends, and 'tis upon a making.
No. I'll give a special charge, good Master Witgood. May I be bold to see her?
Who? The widow? With all my heart and faith, I'll bring you to her.
Here she be a Staffordshire gentlewoman. 'Tis much if I know her not.
Now, boy, draw her.
Hi!
Enter boy.
Cynical, sir.
Went the gentleman up that was here?
Up, sir. She went out, sir.
Out, sir.
Out, sir. One Master Hoard with a guard of gentlemen carried her out back door a pretty while since, sir.
Oh, Hoard? Miss Hoard?
Enter host.
The devil of ring I can find.
How now? What news? Where's the widow?
My mistress, is she not here, sir?
More madness yet.
Well, she sent me for a ring.
A plot to boat. She stole away.
What?
Enter Lucre with gentleman.
Follow, inquire old Hoard, my uncle's adversary.
Exit host.
Nephew, what's that?
Thrice miserable wretch.
Why, what's the matter?
The widow's borne away, sir.
Ah, passion of me! A heavy welcome, gentlemen.
The widow's gone.
Who durst attempt it?
Who but old Hoard, my uncle's adversary?
How?
With his confederates.
Hoard, my deadly enemy. Gentlemen, stand to me. I will not bear it. 'Tis in hate of me that villain seeks my shame, nay, thirsts my blood. He owes me mortal malice. I'll spend my wealth on this despiteful plot. He shall cross me and my nephew thus.
So maliciously.
Enter host.
How now, you treacherous rascal?
That's none of my name, sir.
Poor soul, he knew not on it.
I'm sorry. I see then 'twas a mere plot.
I traced them nearly.
Well?
And here for certain they have took Coal Harbour.
Devil's sanctuary. They shall not rest. I'll pluck her from his arms. Kind and dear gentlemen, if ever I had seat within your breasts.
No more, good sir. It is a wrong to us to see you injured in cause so just. We'll spend our lives, but we'll right our friends.
Honest and kind. Come, we have delayed too long. Nephew, take comfort. A just cause is strong.
That's all my comfort, uncle.
And exeunt everyone apart from Witgood.
Now may events fall luckily and well. He that ne'er strives, says wit shall ne'er excel.
And exit Witgood. So he's doing an awful lot of play acting here, of course, because he's going, oh no, she's been taken. Oh, what'll I do? Oh, woe, thrice woe. Just a textual note to mention that there is some possibly some of the boy might have been the drawer, but it could also have been that it does vary depending on editions. So just a note there. But yes, we have a whole host of people, and yes, she's gone, and of course it's all. At this stage, the play acting's for Lucre's benefit, so that he knows where the plot has gone. And of course, Lucre. I love the way Lucre keeps coming on and going, "My deadly enemy." It's just, I just kind of want dum 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 every time he says that.
Yeah, except Hoard's not the bad guy. I mean, they're both assholes. So
yeah, but it's just like it's like. Yeah. Did we actually ever find out why they hate each other? Is it just one of those feuds?
One of them had a business deal going, and then the other one kind of sneaked in and said, basically, I imagine, like offered the other business partner a better deal, and kind of pulled a business deal out from under him.
Or he gazumped him on a house or something, you know. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm definitely feeling the flow now. I'm feeling it now. Alan.
Yeah, well, think Bezos and Zuckerberg. It's two people who both think they're cock of the hill and can't bear the other one.
Yes, well, maybe we'll organise a cage fight for them later to get together. Other thoughts before we have our final scene of the act, Sarah?
It's not really a proper thought. It's just it's like Middleton suddenly remembered how to do dialogue. I don't know. It's someone, I think Alan was saying earlier, like there's such a big difference between today and yesterday, like between the end of Act 2 onwards and what we read yesterday. And I mean, there was some like back and forth yesterday, but this has just got so much more energy and so much more character. And I know we had a lot of like bigger, like chunkier bits of text yesterday, but we still had back and forth. And so I can't quite put my finger on like why it's just so much more fun today. So if anyone has any thoughts about that, just please enlighten me.
Well, I mean, yesterday we covered 5 scenes, so it's a comparable. And one of there was one very long scene, but that was sort of made up of lots of units of action. So I don't think structurally it's different. I do suspect it's just us. That we're just tuned in. I could be entirely wrong on that, but that's my suspicion. Is that just we hadn't done this for a while. And it took us 2 and a bit hours to figure out how to read a Middleton again. Alan.
I'm just wondering, in fact, whether what's happened is we've got something in the publishing process that the first bit was an early draft, and the bit that we've been dealing with today was actually taken from an annotated cue script backstage, when actors had a chance to try and make it work.
I don't see that there's any textual evidence that I don't see that the first act and a bit that we looked at is structurally different to what we're doing, apart from the sense of the amount of action that is now happening. All of these scenes have action happening. whereas what we did in Act 1 and a bit of Act 2 was mostly set up. But in terms of the way it's written, it's not like we're suddenly going, it's written in the style of writing is different. I don't see any evidence for that. Or even the lengths of scenes are not fundamentally different. I think it's just structural in the sense of now the characters are getting on with doing the thing that it took an act to set up. It's just, can we elucidate that process in a performance? Because I think Connor made this point yesterday. You know, we're in danger of our audience walking out before they get to the good stuff. And that's what do you do with Act 1 is kind of the thing, because I think it does start kicking off quite nicely in Act 2. And then it really hits the ground running in Act 3. It's a momentum thing. A bit like a farce, actually. I think it's like a farce in the sense that the first 20-30 minutes of a farce can be pretty tedious because you haven't got the desperation going yet. Not that there's much desperation here yet, really. It's just wheels turning. But yeah, I'm really tempted. What would happen if we just went back and reread Act 1 again now? I'm really curious to see whether it's us or it's the text. Because I think there is a real question there as to is it you or is it me? Is it Middleton or is it us? What is going on there? Okay, let's finish Act 3 and get to the interval. Act 3, Scene 4. Enter Dampit, the usurer, drunk.
When did I say my prayers? In anno 88, when the Great Armada was coming, and in anno 99, when the great thundering and lightning was. I prayed heartily then, in faith, to overthrow Poovy's new buildings. I kneeled by my great iron chest, I remember.
Enter Audrey.
Master Dampit, one may hear you before they see you. You keep sweet hours, Master Dampit. We were all abed 3 hours ago.
Audrey?
Oh, you're a fine gentleman.
So I am, i' faith, and a fine scholar. Do you used to go to bed so early, Audrey?
Call you this early, Master Dampit?
Why, it's not 1 o'clock in the morning. Is that not early enough? Fetch me a glass of fresh beer.
Here, I have warmed your nightcap for you, Master Dampit.
Draw it on, then. I'm very weak, truly. I've not eaten so much as the bulk of an egg these 3 days.
You have drunk the more, Master Dampit.
What's that?
You mought and you would, Master Dampit.
Answer you I cannot. Hold your prating. You pray too much and understand too little. He answered, give me a glass of beer.
May I ask you how you do, Master Dampit?
How do I? In faith, naught.
I never knew you do otherwise.
I eat not 1 pennyworth of work bread these 2 years. Give me a glass of fresh beer. Sick, or am I not well?
Take this warm napkin about your neck, sir, whilst I help to make you unready.
Now, Audrey Prater, with your scurvy devices, what say you now?
What say I, Master Dampit? I say nothing but that you are very weak.
Faith, thou'st more coney-catching devices than all London.
Why, Master Dampit, I never deceived you in all my life.
Why was that? Because I never did trust thee.
I care not what you say, Master Dampit.
Hold thy prating, I answer thee. Thou art a beggar, a quean, and a bawd. You answered.
Fie, Master Dampit, a gentleman, and have such words.
Why, thou base drudge of infortunity, kitchen-staffed drub of beggary, roguery, and coxcombry, thou cavern's queen of foolery, knavery, and bawdreamery. Tell thee what, I'll not leave a louse for thy fortunes.
No, Master Dampit, and there's a gentleman comes a-wooing to me, and he doubts nothing but that you will get me from him.
I? I would either have thee or lie with thee for £2,000, but I might be damned. By that base, impudent quean of foolery, flattery, and coxcombery, I answered.
Come, will you rise and go to bed, sir?
Rise rise and go to bed too, Audrey. How does Mistress Prospering?
Foe.
She's as fine a philosopher, a stinker's wife, as any in the liberties. Audrey!
How now, Master Dampit?
By bonnet, what a choice of stinks is here. What hast thou done, Audrey? By bonnet, it's a choice of stinks indeed. Give me a glass of fresh beer and then I'll to bed.
It waits for you above, sir.
Oh, I think they burn horns in Barnard's Inn. If I smelt such an abominable stink, usually forsake me.
Exit Dampit.
They be the stinking nails of his trampling feet, and he talks of burning of horns.
And exit Audrey. Interesting scene. I have no idea what it's for.
It was from open all hours. That much is certain.
I mean, it's just, yeah, it was, I mean, it's an interesting sort of drunk scene and someone trying to put a drunk to bed. It felt quite accurate. I've been there myself. But yeah, because it's just before what would be the sort of the equivalent of an interval, so it's not like it's doing a spacing job between two scenes, unless he's thinking ahead. And I don't think even if there was, it's presumably setting something up for the next act or further on. But yeah, I'm not sure what it's for. Alan.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, in fact, whether this is someone who got a party piece and it was just stuck in. Oh well, this will keep Fred happy. He can do his usual drunk shtick.
Yes, and just a historical note: the usurers that are conventionally supposed to be drunk at times. It is a thing apparently. So it sort of fits within. We met him earlier. He was quite an interesting character. He was sort of introduced in a sort of humours way at the beginning of the play, and then he was sort of dropped. So maybe it's just simply to remind us who the hell he is, and just so that he's in place. Stephen with an L.
Yeah, just to add to Alan's point, I mean, remember these are it's a boys' company, isn't it? So, you know, in the same way that boys kind of coming out with the double entendres is interesting, it is much more likely that boys' companies did do this sort of thing than perhaps the adult companies, just simply because there would be more boys, and also you would have that whole funny thing of a 12-year-old pretending to be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting structural question about the whole play. Is actually we've got an awful lot of characters who aren't actually very essential to the overall. I'm thinking in terms of a modern production of the sort of filleting that one might do. I was initially thinking that about Lamprey and Spitchcock until they suddenly functioned as a double act, and I went, oh no, there's something there. Whereas before I was going, they could just be one person, they don't need to be two. And the characters of Dampit and Audrey, as of yet, I don't know what their function in the plot is. Are they part of the primary plot, or are they just peripheral characters doing some shtick?
Well, they're never going to take it on tour, are they? So, you know,
No.
those kind of, or swap playhouses or anything like that. So, you know, perhaps it is literally just that you've got sort of 25 kids, you know, and you can just afford to, you know, like the sort of theatre in the 70s in the UK, you know, money is no object, as it were, and you can have these great big sprawling things.
Yeah, and yes, that you're just simply using these spare actors to do something. Maybe they've got a turn that goes into this. Maybe there's a song somewhere in here. Does he do a drunken song? You know, that's entirely possible. We haven't had really any singing in this text at all. But then I'm not sure. Not all boys' companies were into singing, so I don't know whether they're not always apparent. Okay, let's go on into Act 4 then. Different unit of action. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter at Coal Harbour, a rabbit warren of disreputable streets where people might want to get lost. Enter Hoard, Courtesan, still disguised as the widow, and the gentleman Lamprey and Spitchcock. Yes, Hoard is married now.
Join hearts, join hands, in wedlocked bands, never to part. Till death leave your heart, ye shall forsake all other women, you lords, knights, gentlemen, and yeomen. What my tongue slips, make up with your lip.
Give you joy, Mistress Hoard. Let the kiss come about.
And there's a knocking.
Oh, who knocks? Convey my little pig eater out.
Hoard!
Upon my adversary, gentlemen.
Hoard! Open the door, or we will force it out. Give us the widow.
Gentlemen, keep them out.
He comes upon his death that enters here.
My friends, assist me.
He has assistance, gentlemen.
Not him nor them. We in this action fear.
Shall I, in peace, speak one word with the widow?
Husband and gentlemen, hear me but a word?
Freely, sweet wife.
Let him in peaceably. You know we're sure from any act of his.
Most true.
You may stand by and smile at his old weakness. Let me alone to answer him.
Content. Oh, 'twill be good mirth, if faith. How think you, gentlemen?
Good gullery.
Upon calm condition, let him in.
All spite and malice.
Hear me, Master Lucre. So you will vow a peaceful entrance with those your friends, and only exercise calm conference with the widow. Without fury, the passage shall receive you.
I do vow it.
Then enter and talk freely. Here she stands.
Enter Lucre with gentlemen and the host.
Oh, Master Hoard, your spite has watched the hour. Your excellent in vengeance, Master Hoard.
Ha ha ha!
I am the fool you laugh at. You are wise, sir, and know the seasons well. Come hither, widow. Why is it thus? You have done me infinite disgrace, and your own credit no small injury. Suffer mine enemy so despitefully to bear you from my nephew, or I had rather half my substance had been forfeit and begged by some starved rascal.
Why, what would you wish me do, sir? I must not overthrow my state for love. We have too many precedents for that. From thousands of our wealthy, undone widows one may derive some wit. I do confess I loved your nephew, nay, I did affect him against the mind and liking of my friends, believed his promises, lay here in hope of flattered living and the boast of lands. Coming to touch his wealth and state indeed, it appears dross. I find him not the man in perfect, mean, scarce furnished of his needs. In words, fair lordships, in performance, hovels. Can any woman love the thing that is not?
Broke you for this?
Was it not cause too much? Send to inquire of his state. Most part of it lay 2 years mortgaged in his uncle's hands.
Why, say it did. You might have known my mind. I could have soon restored it.
Aye, had I but seen any such thing performed, why, 'twould have tied my affection and contained me in my first desires. Do you think, i' faith, that I could twine such a dry oak as this, had promising your nephew took effect?
Why, and there's no time past, and rather than my adversary should thus thwart my hopes, I would have...
You have been ever full of golden speech. If words were lands, your nephew would be rich.
Widow, believe it, I vow by my best bliss, before these gentlemen, I will give in the mortgage to my nephew instantly, before I sleep or eat.
We'll pawn our credits, widow. What he speaks shall be performed in fullness.
Nay, more. I will estate him in farther blessings. He shall be my heir. I have no son. I'll bind myself to that condition.
When I shall hear this done, I shall soon yield to reasonable terms.
In the mean season, will you protest before these gentlemen to keep yourself as you are now at this present?
I do protest before these gentlemen, I will be as clear then as I am now.
I do believe you. Here's your own honest servant. I'll take him along with me.
Aye, with all my heart.
He shall see all performed and bring you word.
That's all I wait for.
Oh, have you finished, Master Lucre?
So laugh, Hoard. Laugh at your poor enemy. Do. The wind may turn. You may be laughed at too. Yes, marry, may you, sir. Ha, ha, ha.
And exuent Lucre, gentleman and host.
If every man that swells in malice could be revenged as happily as I, he would choose hate and forswear amity. What did he say, wife? Pretty?
Faith spoke to ease his mind.
Oh.
You know now, little to any purpose.
Oh, true.
He would do mountains now.
Aye.
You struck him dead, Master Hoard.
Oh, aye, and his nephew desperate.
I know it says I. Never did a man so crush his enemy.
They exit. Lots of really interesting, just verbal ticks here. I'm really interested with the the ha-ha-has that are going back and forth between Lucre and Hoard throughout this scene. I think there's something to be done there for actors. I think there's something that can be built there. But then the and the I and all of those little verbal ticks that are going on there. Once again, the courtesan is playing verbal games as well of the thing. I promise to remain exactly as I will do the thing that you think that I haven't done yet, but I've actually done, so never mind. Witgood's won. Play's over. There we are. We can all go home. I'm sure there will be more to come. Thoughts? Again, a fun little scene because again, we have these constant little things pushing the plot forward now. As stuff to play. Alan.
I think one of the things that's causing me a bit of an issue is that we do seem to have an awful lot of supernumeraries. You know, we've got this first gentleman who appears at odd times, who I think could quite easily be conflated with either Lamprey or Spitchcock.
No, the first gentleman's on the other side. I think the importance for this scene is that Lucre turns up with bodies on his side. So I think you're right. There is an element that these people don't matter who they are. They're just people. But they've got to be on Lucre's side, otherwise he doesn't have a horde of, because he's turning up mob-handed in theory. He's knocking on the door. So we need bodies, but who they are is within the company is not so much of an issue. I'm increasingly less worried about how to double this down and make it smaller. I don't think it's actually that complicated. But I could be wrong. Other thoughts? Stephen, with an L.
I was just thinking about all these repetitions and these laughings. Seems to me that they're just kind of invitations to the performers to just get really physical. It's not kind of what's my motivation on the third eye here. It's all of this kind of asides and everyone being very constrained, but it brings you back to sort of the farcical energy from the body, as it were. That all of a sudden there's this kind of big stuff happening, and it that might be why they've saved it for this point in the play. That we kind of get a surprise just physically from these performers at this point. It's almost just a license. If you've got a shtick, bring it out. To just sort of give somebody the same word repeated 4 times. It's they trust their actors.
Yeah, and I'd say I think in rehearsal all of those things because there's rhythm and there's play to be had there. I think you're right there. There's a lot. again, there's a lot more potential in terms of actors doing stuff than we had in the first session. Once the plot really kicks in and the con is on, as it were, I think that's what we could call this session. The con is on, whereas the previous session was more the con is sort of, well, we're just getting the saucepan on the hob, but we haven't actually turned it on the hob on yet. I mean, it's not even simmering. So yeah, it's getting to this point. Has been our issue. Other thoughts before we move on to our final scene of the session? I hear silence. Resounding silence. Okay, let's go on then. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Lucre with his entourage, basically. Enter Lucre with gentleman and host meeting Sam Freedom. We haven't seen Sam for a while. And meeting Sam Freedom.
My son-in-law, Sam Freedom. Where's my nephew?
Oh, man in lamentation, father.
How?
He thumps his breast like a galleon dicer that has lost his duppet, and stands in his shirt to do penance.
Alas, poor gentleman.
I warrant you may hear him sigh in a still evening to your house at Highgate.
I prithee, send him in.
Were to do a greater matter, I will not stick with you, sir, and regard you married my mother.
And exit Sam.
Sweet gentleman, cheer him up. I will but fetch the mortgage and return to you instantly.
And exit
We'll
Lucre.
do our best, sir.
Enter Witgood.
See, where he comes. Even joyless and regardless of all form.
Why now, Master Witgood? Fie, you a firm scholar and an understanding gentleman, and give your best parts to passion?
Come, fie!
Oh, gentlemen!
Sorrow of me, what a sigh was there, sir. 9 such widows are not worth it.
To be borne from me by that lecher, Hoard!
That vengeance is your uncle's, being done more in despite to him than wrong to you. But we bring comfort now.
I beseech you, gentlemen.
Cheer thyself up, man. There's hope of her, if faith.
Too gladsome to be true.
Enter Lucre.
Nephew, what cheer? Alas, poor gentleman, how art thou changed? Call thy fresh blood into thy cheeks again. She comes.
Nothing afflicts me so much but that it is your adversary, uncle, and merely plotted in despite of you.
Aye, that's it, man's me, spites me. I'll spend my wealth ere he shall carry her so, because I know 'tis only to spite me. Aye, this is it. Here, nephew. Before these kind gentlemen I deliver in your mortgage, my promise to the widow. See 'tis done. Be wise, you're once more master of your own. The widow shall perceive now you are not altogether such a beggar as the world reputes you. You can make shift to bring her to 300 a year, sir.
Fair lady, and that's no toy, sir.
A word, nephew.
Now, you may certify the widow.
You must conceive it all right, nephew. Now, to do you good, I am content to do this.
I know it, sir.
But your own conscience can tell I had it dearly enough of you.
Aye, that's most certain.
Much money laid out, beside many a journey to fetch the rent. I hope you'll think on't, nephew.
I were worse than a beast else, in faith.
Although to blind the widow and the world, I out of policy do it. Yet there's a conscience, nephew.
Else heaven forbid.
When you are full possessed, 'tis nothing to return it.
Alas, a thing quickly done, uncle.
Well said. You know I give it you but in trust.
Pray, let me understand you rightly, uncle. You give it me but in trust.
No.
That is, you trust me with it.
True.
But if ever I trust you with it again, when I might be trussed up for my labor.
You can all witness, gentlemen, and you, Sir Yeoman.
My life for yours, sir. Now, I know my mistress's mind too well toward your nephew. Let things be in preparation, and I'll train her hither in most excellent fashion.
And exit host.
Good old boy. Wife, Ginny!
Enter wife. Oh, did I give out wife? I didn't, did I? Someone read wife. Who's not in this scene?
What's the news, sir?
Excellent, thank you. That's the one line.
As beautiful as the day I married her, that wench. The wedding days at hand. Prithee, sweet wife, express thy housewifery. Thou'rt a fine cook, I know it. Thy first husband married thee out of an alderman's kitchen. Go to, he raised thee for raising of pace. What? Here's none but friends. Most of our beginnings must be winked at. Gentlemen, I invite you all to my nephew's wedding against Thursday morning.
With all our hearts, and we shall joy to see your enemy so mocked.
And there he laughed at me, gentlemen. Ha ha ha!
Exeunt all but Witgood.
He had no conscience, faith would laugh at them. They laugh at one another. Who then can be so cruel? Troth not I. I rather pity now than aught envy. I do conceive much joy in mine own happiness. I have no leisure yet to laugh at their follies. Thou soul of my estate, I kiss thee. I miss life's comfort when I miss thee. Oh, never will we part again until I leave the sight of men. We'll never trust conscience of our own kin, since cousinage brings that title in.
And exit Witgood. Yes, he's found his true love.
His property.
A mortgage document. We'll never part. We'll never be alone again. Yes, which makes the whole appearance of the niece earlier even the more tokenistic, because we have found his true love, and it's paper based, and lovely.
No. Land based. It's basically his land back in his own right.
Yes.
Rather than mortgage to his uncle.
Yes, you give it me, but in trust. No, that is, you trust me with it. True. There's a nice little back and forth. And again, once again, I just love this. I feel it's a sort of this. He laughed at me, and this performative ha ha ha. So, however Hoard did the ha ha ha, Lucre has to do the same ha ha ha. So it's I can see the actors playing with how they're doing their ha ha ha's every performance. It's a sort of one-upmanship as to how absurd their ha ha's can be, each and every time. Other thoughts on this particular phase? Sam, remember Sam? Anyone remember who Sam was? I remember he was in the play earlier. Greg, you were Sam. Who is Sam? I know he's his son-in-law.
I don't know, but he felt so much of a device. I felt like I should come out just totally sort of like, in the actor's day-to-day clothes, going, look, I don't do much of this play. Bye.
I mean, he within this scene, he is there for exposition. He's going, oh, Witgood's overacting over there about how sad he is, and he's setting that up. I mean, that's what all these gentlemen are doing. They don't need to be characters. They're just there to tell us that some other stuff is happening, and they witnessed other stuff happening, which means they can be any member of the company with a hat on. That is the kind of the thing I like, because it. Actually, sometimes it's quite nice to have characters who just are there to do a job, rather than be characters. Simon,
just picking up on that, the hat wearing. I think. I mean, I missed it obviously yesterday, but it's not the world's greatest read. But I think it probably is. People have alluded to it. It probably would be much more entertaining, like a lot of the plays, of course, if you'd seen them, because it seems like it's not exactly like restoration in jokey, but there's probably a lot of contemporary to the time period humor in their devices, as Alan said, maybe little party pieces for actors. I feel it's very much something that I would probably have a very more positive reading of it had it been an observation and not a read-through.
Yeah, I think the physicality of this text makes a difference. Actually, just on the point about the jokes, that is a big difference between this session and last session. Last session we had a lot of innuendo joke sequences. We had so many of them, and the problem with those kind of jokes is you're sitting there going, I know that's an innuendo, but I'm not quite sure how it functions. I'm not sure. Is it a penis, or is it a thing? What part of the genitalia is that supposed to be? I'm not sure from the reference. We haven't had that much. There was a bit of that in the Dampit sequence. There were some, and there's a few little plays. But actually, it's mostly about the action this time. It's not about the verbal fencing that we had, I think, in the first session. And I think the verbal fencing is the stuff that ultimately doesn't work for us because it's died a horrible, painful death over 400 years. Whereas the mechanics of these scenes function very nicely. Because each of these scenes, I think I said last time as well, I don't know what the joke of each scene is. I know what the joke of all of these scenes is. I can sit down and write out this scene is doing this. This is what you're supposed to find funny. I couldn't find anything last session to do that. So I think there is something about tidying up that first act. There are characters we never meet again in the first act, or pretty much never meet again, who could probably be quietly excised and make it shorter. But yeah, other thoughts about this scene or other things you want to throw in before I go around the room for final thoughts? No, struggling, I see. Okay, so I'm much happier after this session. I know what this play is doing. I understand how it functions. I can see now what needs to be done to a degree with Act 1. And the opening of Act 2 is, yes, a certain amount of clarity. But actually, the plot is very simple, actually. And once it starts ticking over, it's not complicated. But yeah, tuning into the language is an obvious problem we identified last time. Removing some of the double entendres, that's a thing that probably has to be done, or at least make them clearer so that we can laugh at them. Without having to act mime the innuendos. If you have to act mime the innuendo, the production is dead, officially dead. Okay, final thoughts around the room. Sarah, final thoughts.
Yes, well, it won't be a surprise to anyone to learn that I preferred today to yesterday. I really struggled yesterday with just getting a handle on who everyone was and what their MO was, but I mean, today it's been really clear. I also just really like the con. I mean, you were saying, it's quite simple. It is, but it's deeply satisfying. The fact that Witgood and his courtesan have just managed to exploit the warring between these two daft old blokes who just hate each other. I mean, it would kind of be even more fun if we knew why they hated each other and it turned out to be for something really ridiculous and silly. But we can just kind of, we can infer that. And the fact that it's, I mean, I'm assuming there are going to be spanners thrown into the works in the last third, but the fact that there hasn't really been any of that yet, that it's unfolded in really quite a, it's all gone according to plan, which I was not expecting. But the fact that it has, I'm actually really enjoying, because it is quite a fun con. It's quite clever, and it's the kind of thing that you can imagine working in real life, just using the fact that these two people hate each other to and they're not really conning them out of anything major. Well, I suppose if Hoard is genuinely in love with the widow, then his heart will be broken. But let's face it, that's not the case. So I don't know, it just seems it's highly silly, but I'm really, really enjoying just the mechanics of it, and I'm actually really enjoying the fact that it's quite simple and quite silly, and is actually working really well.
I was just wondering, actually, a thought for just restructuring the first act is, there are problems with doing this because it's a useful spaces scene, but maybe just start with Lamprey and Hoard fighting. It's technically it's scene 3, and you need it to sort of space between scene 2 and
Lucre.
4. But if you had Hoard and Lucre rather fighting, and you have that opening. You see that, and maybe Witgood then can watch it happening, and then he comes in with his courtesan. As just, it's a better setup. And again, this is the problem with Middleton. Middleton doesn't do exposition at the beginning of things. He explains what's going on after the fact. It's an interesting idea, and it might work on stage in live performance and be fine. But we've already had this conversation a couple of times of just going, but could you just tell us what's going on first? Please do this thing. Simon, you've just come in for today. You've no idea where you are, but you've come in, I think, at the right time in a sense. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad not to be here tomorrow. No, I think it's just all a bit too incidental for my liking. Although I maintain kind of what I said. I probably would enjoy it more, like you guys were saying, like Sarah was saying, having seen it. But yeah, give me some blood, give me some guts, Jesus.
As ever, nobody wants a comedy. You just want people to die. I think the other thing.
That's good.
Yeah, I think the other thing about is also just the structural thing of we're stopping and starting a lot with something which this session, everything needs to move like a steam train. It needs to move like fast. It's got to be fast paced, and by constantly stopping and starting, we're killing the momentum of this piece potentially. Who was here yesterday? Lynn, you were here yesterday. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. I can see, I can see people's argument that, now that we've got to the core plot, it's a lot more interesting, and a lot more appealing. Yeah, at the same time, there's just too much shit going on. I mean, is this Middleton? 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag? Because, yeah, we don't need Dampit. I don't think we need Dampit at all.
We can cut Dampit, I think. Possibly.
Yeah, we actually don't. I don't think we need the niece. I don't think we need the rivalry over the niece. I don't think that Witgood needs to be in love with anybody. It's all about getting his property back. The title of the play, A Trick to Catch the Old One. We're gonna bamboozle the uncle to sign my lands back over to me, and that's the plot. So all this other crap hanging on it is just kind of annoying me today. But of course, that's fixable. You've got your editor's pruning shears. We just lop that out. If it turns out that the love plot with the niece is important, maybe we'll keep that, but that would, that needs to be built up and signaled much earlier. But I at this point I'm thinking of it as expendable. So yeah, the core plot, it's actually quite a classic one. It shows up in city comedy and Jacobean comedy all the time. Nephew typically wants old guy's money, tricks him into giving it to him, and we're kind of satisfied because we don't like the old guy very much, so we don't. Plus, you can't take it with you. What are you doing with your money? But it would certainly take a lot of trimming, I think, to streamline it and make it sort of a compelling, fun ride.
I definitely think there's a lot less to be taken out of this sequence than yesterday. I think the opening needs a lot. I mean, at the moment, I'm agreeing that Dampit, I'm not sure it's an easily removable scene because it doesn't separate scenes at all. You can run them through. I don't know whether Dampit is going to do something important later on, but it does feel utterly expendable. I was just thinking a trick to catch the old one. I was assuming that was a trick that you can use to catch Satan, as in the old one, as in the devil. So it's that good a trick. I was assuming that's what the title meant, but ambiguous titles are not unknown. So other thoughts on that are available. Connor, any final thoughts?
Yeah, the pace is picking up, and it's a different play. It feels like in many ways. Just I mean, you can really envisage the physical comedy, and the pacing of it really would affect it. So what we've read today is it's just choppy, scene, and I think it'd be much more entertaining to see that on stage and how that is going to progress for the third and final part. Do all threads come together, I wonder, or is it kind of still open-ended? But interesting. First read yesterday, not too engaging. Second read, definitely more engaging. So I'm intrigued for the third and final part.
Yes, and that's a question, because of course we're doing this in 3 sessions. We don't normally do 2 intervals in modern productions, usually only looking for 1. Where would we put the interval? I've been looking. I'd probably put it immediately before Dampit scene if we cut Dampit scene. But it may end up, the question of how much we cut out of Act 1 may destabilise where we put the interval. So there's sort of an interesting question that we probably can't answer until the end of the where we might put an interval in. Because the other thing is not stopping the action once it gets going. That's sort of the problem with a fast format, is that where do you put the interval? Stephen, Stephen with an M, you have only been here for this session. Any final thoughts?
No, it's interesting hearing other people's takes on it. I think it strikes me that with this play particularly, it's probably something that really needs, because there are so many characters, they really do need to be extremely clearly and vividly brought to the stage, sort of delineated from each other. Even characters like Dampit, whether you were to keep that character or not, it would have to be something huge and grotesque, I think. And I think that would help making everything much more clear for the audience, that sort of clear delineation between who these people really are, making them unforgettable in a way. So I think that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be huge and colourful and vivid. Just generally, I was interested by what you said at the start with money likes money, and it reminded me of the idea of, free to those that can afford it, very expensive to those that can't. It's the idea that if you have money, then it's much easier to get it. If you have a job, it's much easier to get another job. And I think it's a psychological thing that's gone through the ages. I think if you're desperate, if you're looking for something, you can't. It's always difficult to achieve something. Whether it's money or love or whatever. So I think that's again something that you can play with in terms of Hoard and Lucre. They are kind of psychological archetypes in a way, maybe. But I think there's an awful lot in there that can be brought out, I think.
It's interesting about the number of characters, because it's interesting because the core of the play is centered around 4 people. And then you have sort of additional people who are doing plot functions but are less necessarily characters, in the sense we were talking about the niece. I mean, there's an element the niece could be made out of cardboard and just wheeled on, and someone pulls a little mouthpiece for her to say the few lines that she has and then wheel her off again. She is that tokenistic as a character, but she's quite important to centre our idea of what is happening in the play. Whereas there are other characters like Lamprey and Spitchcock where they're just followers on. In that sense, can we elide those characters? Can we, Lucre just needs someone to talk to. It's like having a Doctor Who companion. So it's that sort of interesting structural problems that the play is sort of throwing up. Greg, any final thoughts?
I quite enjoy. Well, I had four of the sort of walk-ons, apart from Sam, I suppose. but yeah, I do love George. I think I'm still a George man today. His one line was just lovely and great fun to do. But yeah, I think one of the most interesting scenes for me was all the characters in the pub. The Vintner, the boy, the host, and it just felt like they almost felt like they were more subsidiaries than they were actuals at that point. It was just quite fun. The boy was great fun, but yeah, interesting. I'm getting more of a handle on it than I did yesterday, but I can't say I've got it yet.
Yes, I feel that we that the inn was a missed opportunity. I wanted more in that inn. I liked that inn. I'm sure we will have more inns in the future. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you could almost reset that pub scene in the Rover's Return or the Queen Vic, couldn't you? And some of the script writers of the soaps probably have. Today's certainly been a lot more satisfying than yesterday. One thought I've got, it's a modern production for this. You could actually have Lucre and Hoard played by theatrical knights, let us say, with a supporting cast who wander on and off, feeding them lines while they do their over-the-top semi-panto performances. Yeah. Because there are certainly elements that I know it's anachronistic with the timeline, but it would be almost panto-oblique melodrama.
Yeah, they are. They do seem to. All the ha-ha-has and my enemy does feel more melodrama, doesn't it? And there's something over the top in a way that Witgood isn't.
Green line cape and twirly moustaches.
Yes, I think as a director, one would be possibly saying, and tone that down a bit. The director would have to turn up every 2 or 3 days and say, don't do that.
George, don't do that.
It is just too tempting to overact it, isn't it? Stephen, any final thoughts?
I agree with everybody else. I'm still quite interested to see how it's all going to unwind, actually. All of these kind of various cross-cutting or whatever plots. I'm hoping for a twist or two, and that's a sign of a play that's at least got into 4th or 5th gear by now. The only other thing I would say really is when Greg and I went to see Michaelmas Term, which is about this time, Middleton. The way they did it was they had a whole school. It was a boys' company, it'd been running for 15 years in this one school, and they had the whole school to pick from. And it was, you've got your 3 minutes, And so if there was a Scottish character, the Scottish character came on with a massive ginger wig and a can of iron brew, And you can sort of see that working, that they could take the time to really make those make those stick in the way that, if you're doing 5 different plays in the same costumes, on a different kind of stage, you can't do. So that's one way to do it, is not just the theatrical nights, but everybody is there to steal the scene. Whether the play would work if you had that, I don't know, but that would be a way of making the most out of all of these tiny parts.
Yes, it won't be long before we do Michaelmas Term, which is a play pretty much on top of this one, and I will ask everyone who has seen a production of that to hold off on structural details about that. And it'd be interesting to compare with how people read a text with the impressions people get of a text having seen it in production. Though, of course, it may have been possible to see a Trick to Catch the Old One. I have a memory that maybe it has a modern performance history somewhere, but not necessarily a very vast one. Anyway, we are yes, I've gone through everyone. We have got one more session to go, and it's true, we've got an act and a half to go, and where is this text going to go? It's going to need some sort of additional complication. This is the point in a con where someone turns up and the con falls apart, and then later on you find out that they planned all along for the plot to fall apart in a cunning way, so that actually the longer con can take over, and then they all get in the plane and fly away, and the gold, or whatever. So whether this play will do that or not, we will find out next time when we complete a trick to catch the old one. These exploring sessions are the kind of things we do all the time. You can always join online if you're watching this. Hopefully we're still going by the time this video is actually released, in which case you can sign up. There'll be a sign up form. There are always sign up forms on our website at beyondshakespeare.org. You can always go there and join us if you so wish. You too can live in a small box on screen. But all that remains to thank the readers who we have. Thank you very much for all your wonderful reading, and goodbye. The spume of a brothel house.